Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the PokerNews podcast. This is a very special episode, which you guys have been, I know, waiting for patiently for weeks. This is our Scoop episode, all things Scoop. We've got three fantastic guests for you guys today. That's right. We've really been hitting the streets, the PokerStars mean streets. We're going to talk to two, no, that's not true. One of their newest ambassadors, Tonkaaaap. Their second, and here's something funny. Actually, I was talking to Wistern about, let's just be honest, guys. The nomenclature has shifted and changed a few times at Stars. So I'm actually not sure. Are they still Team PokerStars pros or are they just PokerStars ambassadors? I'm sure someone at PokerStars will be happy to let me know after they listen to this episode. But Tonkaaaap, Wistern, or Wistern_JL, depending on what you're looking at. But two fantastic Twitch streamers, two really interesting guys. We'll get to know both of those guys in their interviews this week. And Spraggy, who is an old reg at this point. You'll hear in the interview, we're talking about our first interview maybe 5 years ago. And now he was just like this new cute little boy who nobody knew. And now Spraggy's like end boss status. So Chad, you have a very busy week or so coming up. What's going on in your life before we get too deep into this?
Well, one of the busy parts of me is other Scoop news, right? So we're going to be talking about all sorts of Scoop highlights, winners this episode, mainly from the rest of world PokerStars.com client that we think of, but also here in the United States and Pennsylvania, we've had the PA Scoop kickoff, and we're doing live updates for that on PokerNews.com. We have had some big winners. It's gotten off to a hot start. And we're also going to be doing some updates from both the Michigan and New Jersey Scoops coming up in May. They're going to run concurrently. So that's big news. And yeah, it's just right now there's so much going on, and at the forefront of it all is Scoop, which is why we're doing this very special episode to get all the listeners brought up to speed on what's going on right now. As we're recording this, 75 events are already in the books. And remember, each event has a low, medium, and high buy-in. So you're looking at 225 winners are already crowned from the schedule. And that schedule has 102 events total. And so that's 306 total tournaments in this Scoop series. We're about 3/4 of the way done. And already, Sarah, there's been some, millions of dollars awarded, right? But also some really big names have been capturing titles.
Yeah, you always expect to see some of the biggest names, but I've been pretty impressed by the people we've seen come out on top at these events. And we're going to get into one of the biggest names and one of the guys you guys will certainly recognize as soon as we come back. But really quickly, we're just going to hear a word from our sponsors, Elite Chip Care.
Are your chips dirty and unsanitary? Elite Chip Care's ultrasonic cleaners kill bacteria and pathogens without using chemicals. Protect your team from potentially hazardous chemicals, UV, and gases. For daily sanitizing of your chips, our laboratory oven will eradicate most viruses using only heat. Up to 2,500 chips sanitized in just 3 minutes. Avoid the reoccurring expense of costly chemicals, UV bulbs, and gases. Safe, inexpensive, and sustainable. Visit EliteChipCare.com.
All right. Big thank you to our friends at Elite Chip Care. Let's get to some Scoop news. I'm just going to start. We have a spreadsheet that we're using to track all the action, all the numbers, the entries, the prize pools, the winners, the payouts, the country that they're from. I'm looking at it now, Sarah. I know you are as well. So I'm just going to start right at the top. We're going back to April 4th. That is when the 2021 Scoop kicked off on PokerStars. Kicked off in a big way. There was I'm looking at one tournament. It was event number 2. It was the low buy-in, only $5.50. It was the mini Sunday kickoff PKO event. $65,000 guaranteed. It got 28,964 entries, crushed the guarantee, $141,000 prize pool. Now we're looking at a $5.50 tournament. Winning this out of the UK was EMS Big Bob 25. We don't know the real name of this player, but turned a $5 buy-in into $8,600 first place prize, which included $2,600 in bounties. So very impressive for the series to kick off with such a massive field. And then just going down, looking at some of these winners, some familiar names. Daniel Almeida out of Brazil won himself a scoop title. One of them that really sticks out in my mind is Laszlo Bujtas. I'm sure I butchered that, out of Hungary. Omaha for Rolls is his screen name. He took down, it was a $10,300 buy-in, event number 6 high, a 8 max high roller event. It had $1 million guarantee. It surpassed that, 116 entries, so $1.16 million prize pool, and he took it down for over $250,000. But Sarah, do you know why this was kind of a more special win for Laszlo?
I do. He's, as we call him, Omaha for Rolls, more traditionally known for the non-no limit hold'em games, and this was his first no limit hold'em title. He also has, I can't remember what the other one was, maybe like limit or something in addition to an Omaha title. But basically, obviously when you're playing a 10K high roller, you're playing against the best no limit hold'em players in the world. And Laszlo Bujtas clearly can hold his own against these players. And not only that, but Fedor Holtz, who came in runner-up in this tournament, who also was runner-up just in a tournament the day before. And as we know from last week's podcast episode, shipped another big tournament last week, which I think was at the GG Spring Festival. But Fedor's clearly hot. Fedor's clearly, crushing and in the mix right now. But it wasn't just Laszlo dominating Fedor. He also beat Michael Adamo. He also beat John Van Fleet, Ape Styles, who's very hot right now. Dominic Nietzsche, Artur Martirosyan. It was a stacked final table and a well-deserved third scoop title for Mr. Bujtas.
Looking at some of the other early winners, this is a guy I'm going to get his name right one of these days. I'm going to butcher it again. I always do. Out of Brazil, Yuri Dzvielewski, aka the nerd guy. This is a guy who just wins and wins and wins. Like, his name is popping up all over the place. It was no different on Monday, April 5th. He took down event number 9, the medium. It was a horse tournament, $215 buy-in. He scored $17,000 for that victory and a scoop title. And then also winning the high version of that horse, a $2,100 buy-in, was Talal Shakerchi, who very well-known player, both online and in the high roller scene. He was on recent episodes of the PokerStars PSPC that aired. Remember, that event took place in January 2019, but recently aired on television. He made the final table, so he got a lot of screen time. And here he is, just continuing to crush, $35,000 for that victory. Andrei Zaichenko is another one that won an event. Walter Malinowski, who goes by Limitless, and you might recall had his heads up match that he lost against one Fedor Holtz. He won $241,000 for taking down a $10,000 buy-in 8 max event. And then one of my favorites, Sarah, really, I've enjoyed watching this kid win from the get-go since his victory in the WSOP Europe. He's only continued to crush. In my opinion, one of the best players in the world. I think if he sticks with the game, that in 10, 20, 30 years, he's going to have one of the most storied online careers that has ever been. And possibly, it's way too soon to say this, but if I had to put money on somebody becoming a Poker Hall of Famer, it would be this guy. And I'm talking about Spain's Adrian Mateos. He ended up topping a field, let's see, Adrian Mateos, looking at my spreadsheet, a field of 873 runners, I believe it was. Give me 1 second, make sure I'm doing this right. 36, there we go. Yeah, 873 runners in event number 13. It was the medium buy-in, so $1,050 buy-in, 8 max, no limit hold'em, Super Tuesday special edition. He ends up winning that for $146,000. And I believe, let me have a look. We got a recap up on Poker News. I want to see if this was his, is it a second scoop title maybe? I should have been more prepared in this one, but his resume is just so impressive as it is. It's hard to keep track of it, but he won it for $36,000, another $47,000 in bounties. And so a nice score there for Adrian Mateos.
Well, I talked to a lot of the players about, you mentioned the, Tuesday tournament. I know that they have the Thursday Thrill, which Western was able to be gifted from PokerStars a $1,000 entry to the Thursday Thrill, which was the biggest entry he had ever had up until this point. And it's interesting, I talked to all of the guys about how they build out their schedule and, you know, what they do when they're approaching a tournament series like this, where you can really fire on a lot of levels for a lot of money, a lot of times. It's really like infinite, right? As much or as little as you would like to put in, up to you. So how do these streamers decide not only their streaming schedule, but their playing schedule? And let's just, for the audience, I think we should just go right into Western, because for me, he was someone I didn't know, someone I didn't recognize. There wasn't a lot of information out there about him, which he explained to me is because he is 23. A sweet little 23-year-old baby. Just kidding. That's like terrible and disrespectful. But I will say after the interview, I really did have quite a lot of respect for him and the way he approached his stream. And I'm excited for the audience to get to hear from him. So let's go to Western. All right, everybody. I am joined by Western_JL, WisternJL. One of 6 new members of Team PokerStars Pro, or I'm not sure if we're calling you guys just PokerStars ambassadors now. The vernacular changes as the years go on, but what doesn't change is they're always looking for fresh talent, fresh faces. And Western, I was like very excited to meet you because you are like a mystery man on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty unknown. Now I've got a couple of interviews and stuff under my belt here, and everyone just want to know where I came from, who I am, because like no one actually knows. So a little bit about me, I guess. I'm 23 years old. I live in Denmark, just in a little town, and just yeah, I've not really been crushing the high stakes. So I think that's the reason most people don't know me, right? Like I'm not known in the poker world in that regard. So yeah.
But it's interesting because I would say that actually that's one of the coolest things I think about streaming and streamers and what pops off, what appeals to people. Of course, we all love to, you know, sit around and watch the like 100K high roller or whatever. That's fun. But in terms of, you know, really connecting with and resonating with people, it's so much less about your like poker acumen and so much more about just being somebody that's relatable. So before we get too deep into your community, like what makes, you know, your channel, I want to talk about you're 23, you're a baby to me. And this is a huge role really for someone at any age. I mean, I've been in the industry for more than a decade. And I think for most people, for most of that time, getting a sponsorship from PokerStars is like the apex of, you know, your career. There's like winning a bracelet, winning events, but like outside of the winning things, you know, getting sponsored by PokerStars, I think is just a huge accomplishment. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, I was scrolling your socials and trying to see kind of where this came from. And it feels like it must have been sort of a surprise to you, to your audience, to everyone. It didn't seem like this was something you were particularly like working towards, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a surprise, I guess. And then again, like in the whole Twitch community thing, I have been known for a while. I mean, I've been in there, I've talked with, I mean, everyone in the PokerStars team already knew me. I think it's hard, without being cocky or anything, but if you look at numbers, you look at who is pulling a lot of viewers who's not sponsored, it's actually kind of hard to find people at this point that has very much higher viewer numbers that are not signed, who also want to be signed, kind of thing. So yeah.
So you mentioned a little that I think there's clearly, it's a small group, right? It's a small niche of streamers and an even smaller niche of poker streamers. And I did see in my stalking, you and Lex had like some really funny little like banters and things going on. I spoke last week to Spraggy and Tonka, you know, just talking about the team, how the team has kind of evolved. So talk to me a little bit about your like relationship with some of the other streamers. Do you have people that are, you know, like those are my homies for sure, these are the people I raid once I'm like done? Like who is your community?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, like when I started this back in 18, end of 18 August, I started streaming. I knew no one. Like I didn't know anyone in the poker community. I was not even mediocre at poker. I was so bad at poker. And I just feel like there was a gap to actually grow and do all of this, right? And I've always looked up to, since I've turned 18, probably, yeah, around 18 when I started watching Twitch poker on, like, watched on Twitch. I've always looked up to these guys like Tonga, like Lex, like Spraggy. I've watched them a lot. And then back in, actually I know the exact date because it just blew up my channel. I got a rate from Lex back in 10th of April 2019. It's so crazy how some of these dates stick with you. But since then we've been bantering around, and I would say, like, yeah, Lex is my main man. He definitely is. He's like a mentor to me.
I love Lex. And when I first came into the industry, he was one of the first interviews I did, and he was so sarcastic and dry, and it made me feel, comfortable to also be that and to just be myself. But okay, so at the tender age of 23, you were rated by Lex 2 years ago already. Let's talk a little bit about, you said you weren't maybe the best poker player, but you just saw there was like a gap or a space, an opening maybe for streaming. Talk to me a little bit about finding poker in the first place, and then from there, how you really recognized that streaming was something that you felt like giving a shot.
Okay, yeah. So this is like two tales turning into one, I guess. But like, so I found poker back in high school when I was 16 because one of my friends used to play it with his parents and family, just for like fun, obviously. And then I've always wanted to do something social media wise. I did, like, really shortly back when I was also 15, 16. I did like I played a lot of CS:GO, which is also what has helped my English a lot. Like, talked with a lot of people from London whilst doing that, and made a little bit of YouTube videos. Didn't go well. Didn't go like it was just a disaster. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a start, right? Um, and then I slowly just fell into love with poker, and at the same time, whilst falling into love with that, watched a lot of Twitch poker, and then all of a sudden being like, I can connect these two. I know I can connect them somehow, and I know that, like, it's, again, like we talked about, a small little group of people that actually does it, right? So there's actually really big room for growth, or at least at that point there was, or there were. So yeah, it was actually more of I fell in love with the game slowly, and then I wanted to do the social media when I was younger, and I was just like, I can mix these two now. Like, this can actually work.
It's so interesting because I think it's one of the elements even that I deal with in my own, job and profession, is people are, they think like, oh, you're just like get in front of the camera and like do, but there's so much production and there's so much planning and there's so many post things that end up that you have to do, so much hard work really that goes into it. And even when I was looking on, your socials, it seems pretty clear that you're and I was going to ask you, like, if you have a team or if you're doing this stuff all on your own, because you're clearly like creating highlights, creating little snippets, putting out, thumbnails and things that this takes a lot of time and effort. And it helps a lot, though, I think, in growing your brand, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that so clearly you have those skills yourself? You've done all this stuff by yourself.
Not all of it, actually, because when I started out, I had a friend that actually started multimedia design at the same time as I dropped out of my finances to pursue full-time streaming and poker. So I actually planned this out like a lot before I stopped. It was not like just okay, I'm starting streaming whilst working, and then at one point I will, like, if it gets big enough, I will stop this. Or I actually just took a hard stopped university when I was 19, planned what I wanted to do, got him involved before I actually stopped with the university, and just planned out, this day is when we're going to start streaming, and I need your help through all of this to, like, grow, because there is a ton of things you need to do. And it's only getting harder because there's only going to be more people doing it now. So yeah, but it's definitely doable.
So You mentioned just briefly before the official interview started that your parents maybe don't know so much about streaming or about poker, which I think is a very common experience a lot of us have. But specifically, I think a lot of poker players have this sort of pivotal moment where they say, like, I'm dropping out of university. And this can be a soul crusher for their families and friends who don't understand. So talk to me a little bit about that and like the reaction, and then what, has your parents or your friends and families like viewpoints changed at all?
Yeah, okay. So when I started out, they were actually, I was not okay with it, but they were like, if you're gonna do it, at least have a plan, right? And I think a lot of people have asked me this in the stream as well. Said this a lot of time in the stream. How do you do it? How do you tell your parents, or how do you just like dive into it? And you gotta have a plan. I mean, the way it worked for me was I knew I needed to get help from another, but you could also do it yourself. It's definitely doable. You just gotta have a plan from the start. Go tell your parents like, okay, I want to do this, but not only what do I want to do this, I want to put this amount of hours into it. I want to be here at this point, because we all know like poker is not like, you don't know where your bankroll is going to go always. You can have downswing, upswings. And streaming is also a little bit variable, but there's more control. I think there's more you can learn just control in general. So it's just like, okay, I want to be here with streaming. I want to show you that I'm actually putting in like a ton of work. I mean, like more than the average person every single week. And then if we get these goals and we hit these goals, I can like keep doing this. And actually also when I dropped out of university, I worked for like 8 months. I had a full-time job to save up money to actually do it. So I dropped out, worked for 8 months to save up money, and then I started like doing it.
So you were very clearly like, oh, I'm not just like being a bum, like I'm really getting after it. And I think
Yeah.
I want to say it was Patrick Leonard, but I read a blog about 3 years ago or something where he said he literally made like a PowerPoint presentation for his parents, and that's exactly it. I think every parent is happy to see you do what you want to do, but only under the only if you're actually working hard, like only if you're actually
Yeah.
doing something. So let's talk a little bit. I think everybody, it takes a little while to find your level of comfort, I guess, like on camera or, while you're streaming, and to figure out how to kind of be yourself. Clearly you've figured that out. And I think all of the streamers have their own sort of niche. And I've asked most of them, and this is a very weird question, but what do you think it is about you and about your stream that people love or that people find attractive, specifically? There's a lot of content out there, so it's like, clearly there's something you're putting out there that people like.
Yeah, for sure. I think first of all, what most comes to mind is like, I think I'm relatable. I think I'm very relatable to many people. I mean, maybe less now than like 2 months ago, but I'm just, when I started, I was just a kid in a bedroom playing poker, right? And trying to figure out, like, my English was not this good when I started either. When I started back in 18, I was so unsure, as you said, like in front of a camera, I was not feeling great. I was actually so happy that I didn't get rated that much often in the start, because I was just so nervous and would sweat, or like, it would just not feel great. It was too many things at once. So I was just happy to like slowly get better at English by playing and having all the viewers like slowly grow as well, and learn from that, I think. But relatable, I think is definitely one of them. And then hardworking. I think I'm just trying to show that everyone can come out there without knowing anyone in the industry, without like having money to their name. Because when I was in uni, I was broke like everyone else, right? Like, and just work hard, be an average dude, and just you can make it. You can make it.
So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. I saw you stream pretty regular, like 5 days a week. It looks like, at least it is like a full-time job for you, or you treat it like a full-time job. So how do you decide, sort of what your schedule is going to be? What are you playing, mostly MTTs? What do you do for your audience? I did see you also do some like spin and go things, or spinning gold, is it? Tell me just how you build out your stream schedule.
Yeah, okay. So most of my streams in the mornings in UK, CT, or like Central Time, European Time. So it's like in 9-10 a.m. that I start streaming, but it's also not a coincidence. You might think it's okay, it's the best time, right? Like you wake up, you do it as a normal job. But when I started out, there was only like 30 people that maybe streamed in the mornings, and at night there would be like 200 people streaming at night, because the biggest tournaments that night, right? Like it makes sense that people want to don't want to sit and play something with 2k up top when you can play something with 100k up top. So I just saw that, like, I just watched all those streamers for, as I said, I was when I planned out my thing, it was I planned it out well. I looked for the category throughout when I worked for 3 to 6 months. I looked at how they were doing number wise, what they were good at, the other morning streamers, and what I needed to be good at to beat them in their numbers. So if I could just I knew if I could just get up at like 15, 20 views at that point, I could be in top 10 in the mornings as English speaking. And then like I would at least get seen a little bit, and then slowly I would grow from there. So just it was not really it was definitely planned out, the whole thing. And nowadays it's more when I have the time. I would say I like streaming mornings because that's where I have my audience. That's where I have my most OGs that come in and be like, we're still here, and I love to see that, obviously. But I also do some night grinds now. Like it's just also time based these days. So
it's funny. I love that you say your OGs, because I do think there's such a interesting bond that happens in this digital space between the people who are there for you kind of in the beginning and follow you all the way. And it's interesting because, compared to, I think, these more traditional like fan-based relationships, right, where there's not a lot of give and take or give back, there really is such a strong connection between streamers and their audience. Like the audience and the streamer exist sort of together, create this space in some ways together. Which I love to see. And I think anybody that jumps in your stream will see there's certain little things that are yours and certain things that people in the stream already know. Is there, if you were to share with our audience, what would be the best times, or how would be the best way for them to try to, see you, connect with you, jump in your stream and become one of your people?
Yeah, I think definitely it would be a morning stream. Like night streams are way different because sometimes it's focused more on the higher buy-ins and stuff like that, to try to compete with the other big streamers out there as well. But morning streams would definitely be it. We just sit around, we just chill, we talk about whatever comes up, whatever has happened in also in the past. It's really just a community where we just sit and talk and have a great time, have a great laugh. Like if I don't laugh every 5 minutes, is it even worth it, kind of thing, right? Like it's just so great, man. I just love waking up in the morning just laughing through the whole day, right? Like it's the best feeling ever. So just grab a cup of coffee and just enjoy your morning.
There's going to be a lot of F-bombs too, you guys. So this is not, put the kids to bed or whatever, send the kids to school, whatever you're going to do. It's still safe for work, but maybe only on a quiet one. But talk to me then. I think I want to make sure we get out there a little bit. This is a special edition of the PokerNews podcast focused on Scoop. So talk to me a little bit about, actually, basically all of the streamers so far have told me that they've had a terrible Scoop. If your Twitter is any indication, it looks like you also have not had the best Scoop so far. You did get quads, which is pretty amazing. But talk to me a little bit about Scoop, and when a tournament series like this comes around, does it change the way you stream? Does it change your schedule? Does it change? Do you take more shots in these type of events? How does your life change when one of these big tournament series comes around?
Yeah. So first week of Scoop was terrible for me. I just bricked everything. Like I just bricked. I didn't get out of day 2 in like an $11 tournament, and I was just like, okay. I mean, it didn't go well either. So it's like it was just a double pain. But then we've had insane streams, obviously, with these signing, being signed up with Stars now and stuff. We've had insane streams. And PokerStars actually on stream gave me a ticket to $1,000 tournament. the 1,053rd day throw, and I actually came in 44th out of 1,179 people, which is my biggest buy-in ever. Obviously got the ticket and my biggest, not my biggest score ever, but my biggest score this year. So it helped.
Thank you, PokerStars.
Yeah, thank you, PokerStars. Yeah, it helped me to break even so far in Scoop. So last week to go, I guess. But so far it's been incredible. Can't really be too mad, to be fair. So
yeah, well, I would say that's like when you get bought into like a tournament that you never would, and then that's the one you go the deepest in. You're like, and that's what I was even saying to the guys that I interviewed last week. I was like, if you're gonna save your run good for some time, like it should be the main event. It should be like one of the things. Yeah, like we'll take it. All right. Well, for our audience who I'm sure is just falling in love with you now, as we all are, where can they find you? What are the channels you're the most active on, etc.?
Yeah, it's just mostly on my Twitch, to be fair. I do use Instagram. If anyone want to DM, it's probably my Instagram is probably the best place to go. Where I got, oh my god, now I'm just the new kid, because I just can't even, I don't even know what my handle is. It's Wistern something, right? It is just a second, Wistern_JL, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/WisternJL. So yeah, those are the two places to write to me, or like whatever, you know.
It's so easy,
come
guys.
Check me.
If you try to find, though, like this little thing was amazing, that there was like some little blurb I found online that's like top poker streamers /WisternJL, and it's like about, and you're like, I'm not gonna put that here, and then it's like, tell me like your story, or what do you do? You're like, I'll forget it. If you want to like know, just come watch my stream. Like I was like, this MFer is gonna be hard to interview, but it wasn't like that.
It's so funny because like I actually got a document for that, and I was like, they were like, yeah, so we're making this new page. And I was like, can I like get something about it, or like anything new? And it just took so long for them to send anything. And then I just thought they would like actually have something. They were just like, I'll just answer some like 4 questions real quick. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like banter these questions up. It's never gonna be anywhere anyway. Like it's not gonna be public knowledge or anything. And I just like wrote something like funny and jokey, and then they actually posted it all, and it was not even to the right questions or anything. It was just like, damn, like what?
Now it's gonna follow you forever. It's like the fourth thing that comes up in Google. So.
It's also it's so great because my stream goes in and they use the quote sometimes, like in my stream for different things. Like it's just like, yeah.
I love it.
It's one of the questions just keep following me is like, what should you do to become a big streamer or something, or like what should you do to become you? And I was just like, you don't become me, because like no one wants to be me, kind of thing. And it's just like that quote just keeps going over and over again.
I love it. Once the chat like catches on to something good, like you just never live it down. Like that will follow you forever. And clearly you have a great relationship with them. You have like dyed your hair, you do like bets with your chat stream. Like I think our listeners will clearly enjoy. And I'm trying to think, so the morning for you is probably actually the evening for us in the US, because it's the evening for you now, right? It's the morning for me.
Yeah, it's like probably, so right now it's like 5:30 like in my time. So yeah, it's gonna be like around midnight kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so like only the party people. The party people will be up in your morning chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. You can come have a party. It's fine.
The kids are asleep, so it's safe.
Yeah, exactly. Kids are asleep. I really need to work on that though. That's something I'm working on at the moment. Just a little bit better language.
Oh, it's okay. You're only 23. You've got a long time to go. I was cussing like a sailor till like 3 years ago, and I still make mistakes. I have a small child now, and I have to like reel it in, because those mistakes will haunt you for a long time once you have a little mimicker around.
It's just like a chat. They just follow you and just say the same thing.
Yes, it's terrifying. It's really bad. And like my husband was like, gosh, you cuss so bad, you have to stop. But like the way I grew up, like my parents cussed, and like, well, my mom didn't, but my dad did. And I'm like, I didn't even realize like how weird it was for some people. I thought this was just how everyone talked. But Either way, your stream is fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm really excited to see the direction, PokerStars is moving. It's really cool to see some new, fresh faces out there, and these young faces, especially. I should feel like an old grandma, but like I'm really excited to meet you, and I hope to at some point, meet you IRL. But if not, I will definitely jump in your chat periodically. Wistern, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I got to say, it is exciting to get to know somebody new, Sarah. Like you said, these young guys coming up on the stream, they could be the future of the poker world, right? They're becoming the new poker superstars, and we're seeing that. He gets a sponsorship deal, right? That this is what these poker sites like PokerStars are looking for, somebody who can bring value. And we've got a couple more of those guys we're going to be talking to later in this episode. But before we do, I want to talk about a couple more winners. Now, one of my favorite storylines to come out of the 2021 Scoop thus far is the same guy winning the same tournament in the same day, right? So, and by that, I mean, I'm talking about event number 21. This is a fixed limit Omaha 8 max. But remember, each event has 3 different tiers. You have a low, medium, and high. And in the low version, it was only $1,100 buy-in, 3,211 runners. Coming out on top for $4,500 was UC Nevanalina out of Finland. I might have butchered that one too. Goes by Calvin 7V. This is a recognizable name for me online. He's a crusher. He's always doing quite well. Well, not only did he win the low version, he decided he was going to go and win the high version as well. That was $1,000 50 buy-in, 103 entries, and he won that one for a much more juicy $24,000. So winning both the low and high version of a Scoop event in the same day, I just think that's really impressive and a testament to his skill. And let's keep scrolling down this list. There's going to be some other players we're going to talk about. Sammy Caliporo, he nabbed himself a Scoop title. Let's see. Keep scrolling. Like I said, we're going through, at this point, 225 winners as we're recording this. Nicholas Atstedt out of Sweden. This is a guy I think deserves a little bit of talking about here on the podcast. Goes by Lena 900, and arguably the best online poker player in the world, I would say. Like, I don't know what his current ranking is on the Pocket Fives, but he's been a crusher online for many, many years. He did it again here in the Scoop 31 high, $1,000 buy-in, no limit hold'em 8 max, 481 runners, and he took it down for $85,000. And I think off the top of my head, it was his, gosh, I'm going to butcher this one. I want to say 3rd Scoop title, maybe more. He's got, like I said, he's an online crusher. That's where he makes his bread and butter. Keep scrolling down.
Didn't he win 2 in our podcast last week?
Was it no, so he won. Yeah, so I think we talked about it in our podcast last week that he won the tournament I just talked about, but he also won another online tournament at a different online site, which we won't get into, given we're just focusing on the Scoop stuff here. But one tournament I definitely want to talk about was event number 37 high. It was a $2,100 no limit hold'em 6 max PKO event. It got 403 runners, and this could be, is this the one? Let me double check before I dive into this. Is this the same tournament? Nope. I'm looking at, okay. So sorry, Sarah, I got my winners, my events mixed up. The winner of the event I just mentioned was Joao Simeão out of Brazil, right? Took down this tournament, $140,000. We are going to talk about another tournament right now that was won by Joao Vieira, goes by NASA 114. Now, my apologies for getting the two mixed up there. The reason I want to talk about this one is because some of us thought maybe this is the toughest ever Scoop final table. We're talking about event number 43 high, $25,000 buy-in, no limit hold'em, 8 max, super high roller. The final table was just insane. Looking over it, some of the names you have: Mikita Badziakowski, Benjamin Roll, Samuel Vuzden, Connor Beresford, Victor Malinowski, who I talked about earlier, he won a title. Nicholas Atstedt, who I just mentioned, won a title. Christian Rudolph, Michael Adamo, who you mentioned earlier in the episode, and Joao Vieira, I just mentioned. I mean, that's your final 9 at this final table.
Yeah, I got to be honest, because when I saw this article on Poker News, I was like, all right, let me see, because I feel like this is something basically every event you're at, there's a, kiss of death table or the table of death or whatever. And I've definitely gone through quite a few, and we've seen quite a few where I was like, all right, they're really, really going to say this. They're really going to throw this out there. And really looking at the final table, I was like, okay, it's kind of fair. Like, I'll be honest, you don't want to sit at a table with any of these sickos. Although I have to be honest, like, did I miss 2020 completely? Because I was thinking just this morning, I was reading something about this like _Connor_B_1 Connor Beresford. I had just seen someone speaking about a hand he played earlier this morning. And I was like, I'm not so familiar with him. Who is this guy? So I Google him, like 2020 online player of the year, which like in 2020 to be the online player of the year is like the year to be the online player of the year, obviously, right? So I was, realizing clearly I've been missing it. And maybe, sometimes you're like people's screen names, you get a little, like you pay more attention to their screen name or their real name, but clearly just a sicko. And every single person at this final table has so many accolades, so many titles. I would say I was also less familiar with Samuel Vuustin, but being from Finland, I just have to assume he's probably some kind of, like crazy sick crusher, Scandi, he probably also plays like PLO all the time. I just have to assume, I don't know, because I haven't been in Europe in like a year.
It was the same for me, like Benjamin Roll. I've heard the name, but I'm like, it didn't ring a bell right away. But then I seen the screen name, Ben CB, like everybody's heard of Ben CB. I'm like, oh, okay. I've connected the dots now. And it was interesting. So the chip distribution at this final table, you had Michael Adamo. He was a big chip leader, 4.3 million, almost 2 million ahead of his next closest competition. But he did not end up winning this tournament. He ended up finishing in 4th place. Instead, and going heads up, it was Mikita Badziakuski against Joao Vieira. And Vieira began the final table 7th in chips. So he was on the shorter side of things, but he came back to win this for a massive payout, $469,000. And it was the 5th title for Vieira in a scoop. So his 5th scoop title, and the 2nd year in a row in which he's snagged a 6-figure win in the series. So clearly a crusher in Portugal's Joao Vieira. Definitely one of the biggest winners and biggest stories, and like we said, toughest final tables to come out of the scoop thus far.
He is such a sleeper, in my opinion, because he's been around for ages. He's been crushing for ages. He's very, I think, quiet. He's very unassuming. He has very clearly got a great group of guys or friends that he kind of travels with and that you see him with. But I think a lot of times he's more uncomfortable in English. So he doesn't pursue a lot of, I shouldn't even say pursue. I think gets not as much press attention as he should. And right. Someone that I've just seen on the circuit for no doubt the entire time that I've been in this industry, he has been in this industry, and I've just seen him, inch up in the buy-ins, and, he's won bracelets, he's won, basically, whether it's live or online, he's won the titles, and I just have a huge amount of respect for Joao Vieira and his sustainability in this game.
Well, along those same lines, I have a lot of respect for one Chris Moorman, right? Arguably the most accomplished online poker tournament player in history. So I was actually quite shocked when I learned something, that he did not have a scoop title to his name. That is until here, the 2021 scoop. This was back on a little over a week ago, April 13th. It was the scoop number 45 high, $1,000 buy-in, no limit hold'em, 6 max, 440 entries, and Moorman got the job done for just under $79,000. And not his biggest payday, still a nice 5-figure score, but to finally get that scoop monkey off of his back must have felt pretty good, because I thought he owned every title there could be in online poker, right? He's won so many triple crowns and this and that, and he's a crusher. He's got literally books written about him on D&B Publishing. but he never had a scoop title until now. So I was definitely surprised to see that. I don't know about you.
I was too. I saw actually the post on Instagram, and I will quote directly from Chris, because I thought this was a very humble and very unexpected thing also for someone with whatever he has, over $10 million in online winnings. I think $10 million was like 3 years ago. So I'm so 3 years ago. But he said, I played my first ever scoop in 2009 and knew immediately that I wanted to win one. I set this as a goal for myself, and it felt crazy that I wasn't able to accomplish it. There were many near misses along the way, but to finally get the victory today felt really great, especially as it was in my favorite tournament format, the No Limit 6 Max. Poker can be a frustrating game a lot of the time, but the joy it brings when it all works out more than makes up for it. And if you know what a unemotional person in general that Chris Moorman is, even having a post like this really speaks to the value that he places on it and how important and how clearly overjoyed he really was. So I was definitely excited to see that. And yeah, go ahead.
I got to share a quick fun Moorman story. So back when he won his WSOP bracelet, when popular UK players at the final table, the rail can get quite rowdy. There's lots of drinks. They usually do some sort of chant. And when Moorman was there, they did a chant that was, he's playing poker, right, for lots of money, but his rowdy drunk rail would just break out every once in a while and say, Moorman, give us a wave. Moorman, give us a wave. Right. And they'd keep chanting this over and over until Moorman would actually wave at them. And then they just burst out in the biggest cheers you've ever heard, like the game winning touchdown, because he waved at them. So a couple nights later, the PokerNews crew, we had a lull in the action. We went over to the Gold Coast bowling alley, and we decided we're going to have, some drinks and bowl. There was probably like 24 of us. And about 4 or 5 lanes down was Chris Moorman with a few of his friends. And I don't know, maybe he was dating Katie Lindsay at the time. I don't really recall, but we thought it'd be funny to, in the middle of the bowling alley, to break out into the chant and say, Moorman, give us a wave. Moorman, give us a wave. And we must have repeated it 3 times before he was clearly embarrassed and blushing. He turned to us and started waving. And then of course we burst out in cheers, and everybody laughed and had a good smile on that one. Anyways, every time I think of Moorman, I think of that story.
I'm sure everyone else in the bowling alley was just like, who are these idiots? And like, should we know who that guy is? He's poker famous, guys.
Well, he's scoop famous now too, because he's got himself a well-deserved scoop title. And somebody else that is a scoop winner, not only a scoop winner, a former WCOOP winner, is one Parker Talbot, who goes by Tonkaaaap online. He's a new sponsored pro for PokerStars. He's a big name. He's a big streamer. He's obviously got some scoop and WCOOP experience. And Sarah, you actually had the chance to catch up with him.
Absolutely. Tonka and I had quite a few years there where we were really traveling together, maybe every 2 months to stops. And we did have the opportunity to get to know each other pretty well. And it was definitely good to catch up. I feel like it's been maybe a couple of years since I got to see him and hear what's going on in his life. He's definitely somebody who's no BS. And as we mentioned, when we first saw this announcement from PokerStars, I was really excited to see the direction they're going, because Tonka is somebody who's, happy to share his opinion. He has many opinions, and I like to see them just putting their money into people who are very much who they are. Hello, everybody. I am joined by my boy, Parker Talbot, aka Tonka, aka Tonkaaaap. Up to you. You guys can call him whatever you want. I call him my former travel buddy. I feel like we were kind of together every 2 months or so, and then
for a little bit there, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
we've
Vegas, London, yeah, we were bouncing around a whole bunch of spots together. That's so true, actually.
It's been terrible. I've missed you, basically, and there's much to catch up on in a very, very short amount of time. So, just briefly, if we're just going to start with, what the heck has been going on? Where have you been? A lot of changes. I think you slowed down streaming there for a while, took a little break. Now you're back. Give me the abbreviated version.
Well, nothing's been going on for the last year, obviously. Yeah, I actually broke up with my girlfriend too, like not long before COVID. So it's just been like amazing, you know, like COVID just like completely on my own, you know, just the whole entire time. Literally the first time, by the way, I've ever lived without a roommate. I've always had a roommate my entire life. And then I moved in with her and then we were, you know, and then, yeah, just nothing. So yeah, I've been alone. I've been doing not much, but yeah, before that, you know, quit streaming, you know, played some poker off and on, you know, did a lot of studying, you know, got a bit better at the game, and now, you know, making a foray back into the streaming world with PokerStars.
So in taking your break, which I am not a professional poker player and never claimed to be, but I do highly recommend from many other great and brilliant minds in the poker game. It seems that periodically, especially for people who stream and for who stream as often and frequently long hours like you did, sometimes you need a little breath, and also to give yourself the space to study and stuff. So what was filling your time primarily then? Studying, like eating smoothies?
Eating smoothies. Yeah, living eating smoothies for sure. No, I honestly, yeah, not much. Like the last like year is like a blur since like COVID, and like before that it was just like lots of grinding. Yeah, a bunch of playing heaps of cards, you know, playing games with buds. I've become really good friends with Spraggy over the last like year and a half, 2 years, whatever. And like him and I and like a couple other friends of ours, you know, played a bunch of games together during COVID time and before that as well. And yeah, I don't know, not too much, honestly. From the last time that we were buds and seeing each other all the time, honestly, not fucking much has changed. It's a different year. Is more or less we're not allowed to go outside, and that's about it. Like that's the only real difference, to be honest.
Which I was going to ask you. So you're a Canadian. You're living in the old Canada.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with life up there? Are you guys?
Oh my god, it's so
locked?
bad right now. It's so bad right now. I'm actually able to get the vaccine right now because Ontario is like such a hot zone. It's like the worst. Basically, Canada's like kind of got it under control, right? But like Ontario is just like a hot spot, and it's just like all of it comes from Ontario, basically. So like if you live in Toronto, like where I live, like you're eligible for a vaccine. So I'm gonna go get that probably this week or next week.
So that's good to know that you didn't have it yet already then.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess like you could have, right? Like you could have had it and not known, or like I haven't gotten sick though since COVID. Like I haven't been sick like at all. Like maybe like a cold like here and there, but like not like it seems like it is. But yeah, it's pretty bad right now in terms of like restrictions and things you can't do. Like I literally got an emergency notification on my phone the other day. It was like a stay at home order is in effect. Like if you don't have to go outside for like mandatory things, do not go outside. Like it's against the law. You have to follow. It was so crazy. What did it say? It said something like stay home, save lives. That's what it said. Stay home, save lives. And I was like, I mean, okay. Okay.
I've been doing that for years.
Yeah,
so don't sweat.
Yeah, exactly. I got this, you know? But yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. It's out of control, the restrictions here, right? Not out of control, but the restrictions here are at their peak for sure.
Yeah, you're in the midst of it. And same, like just talking to Spraggy, it's like in the UK, they've
terrible,
been like that for ages, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a perfect time for Scoop, obviously.
For sure.
And really there's a lot of poker to be played at the moment. And this is a very special edition of the PokerNews podcast dedicated to Scoop. So first of all,
let's talk
Scoop. What have you done so far? What are you looking forward to next? You know, what's happening Scoop wise?
Absolutely nothing. I am down 6 figures in the beginning of Scoop, so that's great. It's just gone really, really smoothly, really well. I think I made in total 1 day 2 out of, you know, however many fucking tournaments I played. And it's just, you know, it's frustrating for sure. It's upsetting. But it is what it is. It's poker, you know. It's a 2-card game. That's what I played some mixed games too. I threw some money away in those, so I'll be hopping in the streets in those a little bit more as well. I mean, I'm gonna go pretty hard for the rest of Scoop for sure. I'm going to my pops tonight, and yeah, I'm gonna go see them tonight. So I'll be staying over there tonight, and maybe taking the day off tomorrow. But I'll be going hard on Sunday for sure, and definitely just like the rest of Scoop. But so far, it's been very poor. Very, very poor.
Save the run good for the end. That's fine.
I don't have anything exciting to share.
We'll wait for it.
Save it for the main, right?
Yeah. And really the big announcement for you in your life and your poker career has to be obviously becoming a PokerStars ambassador.
Yes.
This just happened. This is relatively recent. we talked about it on the podcast last week. I think good job out of PokerStars. It makes sense. You have a great and loyal following. You're, you know, a wild card though, I think, which is also kind of nice. I mean, at least what I said is I think, you know, PokerStars has traditionally been very careful in like managing everyone and making sure. And I feel like they're taking a little bit of some gambles, like throwing it out there, you know, recognizing that like some of these characters are maybe like more interesting than say the vanilla people. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about making this choice, making this decision. I don't know that you financially like need to be sponsored, but you know, PokerStars.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a nice like little foray back into streaming. I was thinking about it before. I popped off a few streams here and there and I did enjoy myself, but I just never really kept like a good schedule. And I've, you know, chatted over the last X amount of time to some folks at Stars, and all of my friends fucking are on the team, right? Like obviously, like I said earlier, became good friends with Spragg. I don't know what you guys talked about. I assume he only said the nicest things about me while he was on, because I know you guys just got off doing the same thing we're doing right now, right? So I'm pretty sure he would have only said nice things. But yeah, you know, Finton, one of my oldest friends, like Lex, I've been good buddies with, and Sam signing at the same time is obviously fucking amazing because I love Sam. But yeah, it's just good, man. It's just like, it's kind of like a nice fit, you know? It's just like everything, all my buds working there. We're gonna make a bunch of content. I've been hanging out with like Spraggy on his stream, just like randomly, like one-offs. You know, like he'll just be streaming and he'll just call me and I'll just sit there for like 6 hours on call with him while he's grinding, you know? So like, it's like I've been like, obviously that's not the same as streaming, but it's like I've been, you know, not fully away from the world while it's been going on. And yeah, just a nice little foray back into Twitch for me.
I think it's a good fit. And I think we've been talking, I mean, we've talked a lot on the podcast about, you know, what PokerStars is looking to do, what they're looking to accomplish, what they're looking to build. And it does kind of feel like the vibe now is very, like, it's just people and things that I'm on board with. I'm definitely on board with the streaming, but obviously also people who are just, you know, 100% themselves, 100% genuine on stream and off stream. And I like to see that that's the direction that just poker is going in general. I hope this is like that kind of movement. What can we expect, I guess, then from you in terms of changes now that you are an ambassador for PokerStars? Is it just like more regular content? You got to make those deals, get those dots.
Yes. Well, honestly, like the amount of streams that I've pumped out in the last like year have been like basically non-existent. Maybe like one stream a month on average, maybe even less, honestly. So like it's gonna be, I'm back streaming now every single Sunday. I'm gonna stream, I think, and then at least one other day a week. So like probably like Wednesdays or Thursdays, and then maybe another day in there as well. Like for Drink Scoop, I'm gonna stream a tiny bit more, but I want to do some like fun things on stream, you know, like much less about like the ultra poker grinder thing. And like I think I want to introduce something like, you know, maybe some like Red Wine Wednesdays or something like that, you know, where like we do some like dumb shit on Wednesdays, maybe, you know, it just maybe something along those lines, you know, maybe we get into the PokerStars casino streets a little bit, you know, maybe we play some cash games, you know, maybe we play some small stakes tournaments and I just go all in every hand until I build a stack, you know, just like some dumb shit like that, something that would be fun. And yeah, back in the good old days, I used to have like Wednesday night would be like a drinking stream. So maybe we'll bring back something like that, where not a drinking stream per se, where I go crazy or get bucked, but you know, just nice little Red Wine Wednesdays or something like that, you know, just a cheeky bottle of red, hang out with the buds on Twitch, you know.
I love a wine Wednesday.
Yeah, I know I don't need to convince you, of course.
I love a wine Wednesday, and it's interesting because I know that you are about to in fact do a sort of coaching session, which includes Spraggy in the world of chess, which I had just talked to Daniel last month about sort of this foray into. There's very clearly, you know, a huge
connection
crossover.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes, but talk to me a little bit about what's your experience. Are you like becoming super into this chess world also?
Kind of not. It's like the most infuriating fucking game like I've played, I think. Like it's crazy how I can play a session of chess, win like 6 out of 7 games, and just come out of it feeling completely fucking defeated. Like I'll win 6 games in a row, you know, and then I'll lose the 7th one on like a blunder or something dumb I've done, and just feel like I'm the biggest moron in the world, and just like be so mad. And even when you win, it'll be like, oh, I blundered that piece there though, and he just didn't see it, so like I should have lost it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like the game is like just it hurts your brain. It hurts your brain for sure. But I have been enjoying playing, and yeah, I've been playing quite a bit. Obviously, in the lead up to the Joker's Gambit, but yeah, I think Benj and I are like pretty big dogs in the tournament. Turns out like poker players are like good at like, you know, thinking games, and Benj and I aren't, because obviously we're not thinking individuals.
Oh yeah,
But,
that's your guys' main problem. And tell me more about the Joker's Gambit. Who's in charge of this? Like, where did this even?
So it's through Hikaru. I know that Hikaru is running it and hosting it, and yeah, it's just like basically it seems like it was just a couple of us at the beginning, but then I think you know, he just like said on his Twitter, whatever, like if you're, you know, a poker player, if you're like a high stakes poker player, streamer, anything like that, and you want to be involved, like hop on in. So there's been like, yeah, just it's quite an array of card players. Honestly, it's fucking heaps of people. It's like 30 to 40 people in it, I think. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be, yeah, like I said, very tough for me because Spraggy and I are like, I think I'm like 1100 elo almost, and Spragg's like 900 or 1K, and like we're just like garbage. Like, you know, there's like a bunch of like actual people that know how to play chess, and like Spraggy and I are just like, they are clicking. We just started learning chess like however many months ago, like honestly like 6 months ago or something. I just like started for like the first time. Never played chess before.
One way to spend your COVID time though. That's
definitely sure. Definitely.
And it's time for you to go. I know that you have to do your very important things for chess. And so before I let you go though, I'm sure everyone already follows, knows, likes you, but just in case they don't, just in case this was their Tonka virginity, how do people follow you and find you and watch your Sunday streams?
Tonkaaaap on all platforms. I have posted one time, I think, in the last like 6 months on Instagram, but I will be returning to Instagram, and it's just Tonkaaaap there too. And Twitter is the same thing, and Twitch is the same thing. Just Tonkaaaap with 4 A's. It's not hard. It's not exciting. Yeah.
I have the exact same thing. I just literally posted for the first time since like November, and I'm like, I'm the worst. Yeah. I'm just the worst.
And my last post is just me in bed, just like my face, just like it's just like a terrible picture as well.
I just want to leave this with you. You guys can be left with this for 6 months. All right, see you later.
The only thing I posted, yeah.
I love it. That's my boy. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got tons of stuff on your plate, but I'm really excited for what the next little bit looks like for you. And I'm always excited to catch up with you.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
A big thank you to Parker Talbot, aka Tonkaaaap. Good luck to him in the remainder of the scoop. One guy who clearly has some luck, but a lot of skill on his side as well, is one Simon Mattsson. He has won 2 scoop titles so far, Sarah. He was victorious in event number 38 high, a $530 no limit Omaha 8 max event, 262 runners. He won that one for $21,000. Now, Mattsson is known online as C. Darwin 2. He then proceeded to win another one. He took down event number 46, the high version, $1,000 buy and no limit hold'em, 8 max turbo PKO, 461 runners. Took that one down for $36,000 first place prize, but $38,000 in bounties. Remember, this is a PKO, so usually the bounty prize is oftentimes bigger than the first place prize. Almost $75,000 for that win. So a very nice scoop series thus far for Simon Mattsson, and you know, he can go for the hat trick, for the turkey, because there's still plenty of events to be had.
Whoa, Chad. Now you touch on a very interesting point, because I mentioned earlier in the show that when I talked to all of these, PokerStars ambassadors, that I asked them about how they build their schedules when they're approaching Scoop or an event like Scoop. And one of the things that Spraggy mentioned that I thought was a really good tip for, our audience and our viewers is that he likes to include as many PKOs and these type of events where you can maybe get yourself a little bit of money outside of cashing in order to supplement your buy-in. And actually, sometimes he said, you can make more than you would if you were cashing in other tournaments just from, knocking people out. So I think it's a spot on time to go to tips from one of the legends, one of the bosses, one of the best streamers out there, no doubt, Spraggy. Hello, everybody. I am joined by my boy Spraggy, who I feel like, honestly, it's probably been 5 real years since I've interviewed you in real life. But since then, things have just exploded for you. You have like probably the hottest girlfriend in poker, just saying. You've got a stream that's been crushing for ages and just continues to crush. And now we're deep in the middle of Scoop. So first of all, just welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I think it was about 5 years ago. I was a freshly registered member of Team PokerStars in Barcelona.
Yes.
I think that was the first time that we spoke. And the infamous now 2-pack of shorts interview, which people still bring up to this day, because I brought 2-pack of shorts in a 10 quid for a 2-pack, and people still have a go at me. But as you can see, my fashion sense is much improved.
No, you've definitely, I mean, you've obviously evolved in the last few years. I can clearly see that. And I really, everyone's background, they choose a different background. For those who can't see, my husband says that my background looks like a college dorm room for like a 13-year-old girl. And you are really highlighting your cat.
Well,
background.
I've recently moved here for the stream. And so I've kind of had it reasonable for the stream. I've actually just realized that my exercise bike is sort of in shot where it shouldn't be, but that's there now. That's part of the thing. People have already started saying that's not getting used, but I've used that every day I've had it. Every day I've had it. That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
I've had it for 4 days.
Fit? Are you trying to get fit now? What's going on?
I've had it for 4 days, but I have used it every day I've had it. Well, I've not done any exercise for a year, really. And things weren't looking good for me before that. In terms of physical fitness and physical well-being, so I thought I'd better do something. I did about 5 minutes on the bike, and my heart rate was like 145 or something, maybe higher. So maybe a little bit more biking is in my future. Yeah.
Just ease it on in, work.
You don't want to rush into these things, so build it up.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that's clearly a problem that a lot of us can relate to, not just in the COVID world, but in the world of streaming and playing poker. This is a completely sedentary lifestyle. You fortunately, I think, have one of those, metabolisms where regardless of what's going on underneath, you look like you could be working out, which congratulations for you. Good job.
Thank you.
So you've managed to ride the bike for 5 minutes in the last 4 days, which is even more amazing because we are balls deep in the middle of Scoop. So I was sort of scrolling through your Twitter, seeing how it's been going. Seems like it's been going really good for you so far. So first of all, just let the audience know what's been going on.
Well, it actually started off okay. I think it might be a little bit misleading because pre-Scoop has been really good for me. I won like the 530 Bounty Builder on PokerStars for 23 or whatever it was. I had a bunch of other like pretty reasonable scores. So coming into Scoop, I was up nicely for the year. It was like a good first 3 months. And then Scoop started okay, like first day or two of Scoop. But then the last like 4 or 5, I've just been pretty much breaking everything. The first the second big Sunday of Scoop, I was in for nearly 5K and out for like $100-something bucks. Good, like I just didn't cash anything, like no cashes, just nothing. And then the last few days, pretty similar. But that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the series. You know what you getting yourself into when you start playing. And this is a Scoop where, as typically with series, I've been firing some 1Ks and 2Ks, not all of them, but like the good ones. The bigger guaranteed ones, should I say, where there might be a few more players in on satellites and things like that. And that's not worked out so far. But it's like 4 or 5 tournaments. So
that's actually one of the things I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about that though, because I think for at least like a certain portion of our audience, you have a relatable bankroll compared to some people that I shouldn't say it's the actual bankroll, but basically, I think you could give some tips and advice when you're looking for value, when you're building your schedule, coming into something like Scoop. What are some of the things you consider? What are the things you say, like, okay, I'm going to fire a little bit, higher on this one because I see there's clearly value here? Yeah.
So, for me, a lot of the guys playing like higher stake stuff are just going to fire all the 1Ks, 2Ks, whatever, 530s. I'm fortunate now that I'm at a point over the last few years where I'm playing like 215s, 530s very regularly. So in terms of value, getting into the 1Ks, 2Ks, things to look for is obviously the guarantee. So this Sunday we just had, or rather yesterday, which would be the Thursday thrill. I'm not sure when this is going to go out. The magic of television's been broken. But the Thursday thrill was a 1K with $1 million guaranteed. So there's going to be 1,000 people in it. There's going to be satellite entries. There's going to be people taking shots, selling action, getting in, whatever. 1,000 players in a 1K. is the sort of 1K you're going to want to shot take, rather than maybe a 200K 1K, where it's going to be a tougher field, smaller field. So some of the smaller events. So I tend to look for that, big guarantees. I kind of like when I'm shot taking, playing a PKO as well, because even if you don't make the money, you maybe pick up a bounty or two along the way, and you don't have the cash to get some of your shot take back, I suppose. And then satellites have been really good this scoop, where there was a bunch of like phased satellites that were running, that were overlaying. There was a 109 satellite yesterday that had an overlay. So just keep an eye on the lobbies, right? Like if there's overlays you think they're going to happen in these satellites, then they're worth jumping into, even as someone who doesn't typically play satellites in a non-series time period. During the series, there's usually some pretty good satellite runs to be found.
That makes so much sense. And so when of course, you're quite the professional at streaming at this point. For me, when I'm streaming anything and I have to be paying attention to the lobby and maybe just one other thing, like chewing gum or something, it's really, really hard. You're a professional. You clearly have been doing this for a long time, but at the same time, how do you try to arrange and build your schedule for streaming as it relates to your schedule for, taking shots and playing tournaments? Or does it just like, okay, I stream when I'm going to stream, and whatever I want to play, I'm going to play anyways?
Well, yeah, during Scoop, I tend to commit during the big series of like, I'm just going to play every day. Friday is the day off during the series, which is nice because it kind of works itself out for you. But yeah, I take a look not too far in advance, usually just as I'm finishing the one stream of like, okay, let's see what's on tomorrow. And then I just get on whenever, really. I know a lot of people like to have like a spreadsheet of Scoop and then go through it and be like, I'm definitely playing these. If it's going well towards the end, I'm going to play these, or maybe something like that. I tend not to do too much of that. I just kind of take it as it comes. As an ambassador for the site, I couldn't tell you what the tournaments are on Sunday specifically, or Saturday specifically, but because I'm pretty much dedicated to playing every day and playing everything, there's not really too much planning that goes into it in that sense. And as anyone who watches me on any regular basis will know, if I say that I'm going to be on because the Scoop schedule is the earlier day where it starts at 1:30, I'm probably still just going to get on for like 2:30, 3 when I crawl out of bed. So luckily those earlier ones tend to be deep stacks or late reg. But I'm still a poker player at heart, right? I didn't know that there were 2 8 o'clocks in a day until recently.
Which is something I did want to talk to you a little bit about too, outside of Scoop and Scoop Live, Scoop World. What's like a normal day in the life of Spraggy? If we just found ourselves outside, what does that look like?
Well, at the moment, because the situation in the UK was still sort of on partial lockdown and some restrictions are starting to ease, the last 4 months, I've really just been sat in the house streaming. I think I did some maths. I had 7 days off so far this year from the stream, which is like once every 2 weeks would be a day that I don't stream. So much of it, you say that my stream's doing well, and it is, and my audience is growing, and my viewership is through the roof really from where it was. It's just consistency. It's just I'm sort of waves crashing against the cliffs, really. I'm just grinding people down, and they're like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to watch this guy now because I'm there all the time. And I'd like to say that it's 50% professionalism and dedication and love for what I do, and it's 50% just having no life, really, and no social life to speak of at the moment. So I know a lot of poker content makers are vloggers, and there's more like a lifestyle element to a lot of those vlogs, where it's like they might be, a bit of poker sprinkled in, but hey, I'm out and about. I'm going about my day, and we're going to do this later, and we're doing this. My poker vlog, and I did think about doing some sort of parody poker vlog, where it was every day as I get up, my bedroom's just like upstairs, obviously. I walk down the stairs into the kitchen, grab a coffee, grab some food, get to the desk, play poker, get some food, play poker. All right, now we're headed back off to bed, and I'm back upstairs again. That's the entire lifestyle at the moment, which, like I said, it's not ideal. It's kind of unavoidable to a point, given everything that's going on. I am a lot more active, when I can be. Before COVID or whatever, I played football. I managed a football team and things like that. And I'm very lucky around here. I got a very good group of friends. But at the moment, it's just get up, stream, and go to bed.
I would watch that parody. I would definitely watch that parody. I'm on board with that idea.
But I genuinely thought that I think one parody episode, but then I would do every day. So it would be like 40 episodes, but every episode is the same, pretty much like every other poker vlog.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
But I would do the same thing every day. Okay, yeah, I'm with you. And I think I know that you have a million things scheduled today, but before I let you go, I do want to ask a couple other things. I would, be remiss if I didn't say, recently PokerStars announced the welcome to the team, Tonkaaaap and Sam Grafton, few other gentlemen whom I'm going to be interviewing next week, less household names at this point, but I'm sure soon they will be. And, we've had quite a lot of discussion on the PokerNews podcast throughout the years about, the PokerStars sort of ambassador strategy. They've taken a lot of shots. They've done a lot of different things, gone a lot of different directions. But it seems like the thing that works the best and the thing that we've seen sort of proven, especially through people like you and like Lex, is that streaming is sort of the future of poker. It's also the future of maybe like fame or semi-fame, or I don't know like how to describe it, creating some sort of level of accessibility. And so I wanted to just get your thoughts and opinions on your new, teammates, and if you also can see that this is maybe sort of, ultimately the direction that it seems like Stars is trying to go.
How long have we got for my thoughts and opinions on signing of Tonkaaaap, Parker Talbot joining the team? No, I'm very, very happy with everyone who is joining the team. And as you say, there's probably some people who, without sounding in any way disrespectful, that you might not be as familiar with. I of course am, I'm entrenched in streaming a little bit more, but Tonka's obviously just a great signing. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's just very fun to do anything with. Everyone knows Tonka. Sam Grafton as well is a fantastic guy to have on board. Just the most well-respected reg in poker, probably been around forever. First UK IPT I ever went to back 10 years ago, maybe more, that Sam Grafton was there and doing my head in because he's the loudest man in the room. As I've told him many times. And then obviously once you get to know Sam, it's just, he's the most likable guy you can imagine. In terms of our other signings, I think that really speaks volumes to PokerStars' belief in Twitch and streaming as a platform. Wistern, for example, who's just joined, is someone who's been in my chat for years and years and years and years and years, and who has started streaming and works very hard and loves poker and plays a lot of poker, has his own community. And as you say, I think streaming, as we've seen, sort of when myself and Finton first signed, I'm sure there were a lot of people who very similarly looked at me and Finton like, what's that all about? Like, why are those guys on the team? Like, who, like, I was playing like the big 11 at the time. And like, what's going on? But I would like to think that we've kind of proved the concept over the last 3 or 4 years of taking people who are passionate about poker and willing to share poker and willing to, be there and build a community and play poker pretty much every day and talk to people about poker and play home games and be accessible, right? And I think that's the most important thing, is that every day in my Discord channel, I have people talking to me, sending me hands because they feel like I'm not this ambassador who sits there and they're sitting there playing poker, right? Like, we're just all playing Scoop, and they come and watch my channel and I'm playing Scoop and they're playing Scoop and I'm in the satellites and they're in the satellites, albeit maybe different buying levels. But that sense of community and that building is really, I think, what being a poker ambassador, I hate that word because it makes you sound like you're some sort of foreign diplomat or something, but someone who loves the game and wants to grow the game and share the game with people. And I think that's what you're going to see. And you've seen Ali do the same thing, where he came in and his channel has grown, and he has a community around him now. And we're going to see, I think, the same thing with people like Wistern, who very passionate, put in a lot of hours, and just love poker, and that's and are willing to share it, right? I think that's the key ingredient there.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I just did, I was on someone else's podcast and they asked the infamous question, which I have pretty unpopular opinions on. I have lots of unpopular opinions though, so I'm very used to this.
Oh, those are the best opinions. There's no point in having opinions that everybody shares.
It's gonna be popular.
Oh, that's great. We all agree. Like,
yeah, exactly. But I was saying the same thing about like, you know, how do we make the game more accessible to women? You know, like what about women? And I'm just like, if you love the game and you talk about loving the game and you play the game and you share the game with the people you know and love, those people will eventually also fall in love with the game and come to, if should they want to, you know, if this was meant for them, they'll find it. And so I do think just creating a space where people who love the game are available to and can be sort of an inspiration to everyone around them. That's how you create it.
That's it, right? It's you have to be right there, because it's very easy to get disconnected. I mean, obviously high stakes poker games and high stakes poker content is great and it has a place, but poker is very intimidating. And if you're watching someone play, you know, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's great entertainment, sure. But it's a lot of people look at that and say, well, I can never do that. Like, I'm not going to be in that environment. I don't have that money. I can't play that, right? So a Twitch stream, so many people come in and they're watching and they're like, oh, what's this? I've watched a bit of poker, but what's going on here? And, you know, here's what's going on and we're playing this game and, you know, things like that. It's so much more, you're sort of bridging that divide and closing that gap. And I would recommend it. And there's obviously always a lot of talk about how do we get this group of people playing poker, or be it women and anyone else, and how do we attract new crowds to the game? If you love poker and you're passionate about poker, then share it and, you know, display poker in the way that we all understand it, and break down that wall of this is something that is for people who've got tens of thousands of dollars, because we all know that it's not. You can jump in and play for a scoop satellite for 25 cents or whatever, or a home game, a free roll, or you play money, right? You and I and everyone in poker knows what poker's about and the sense of fun and community you can have. It's just about getting that message out. So I think that's what streaming really does best.
I'm so on board with you. And I think even in some ways how COVID was so detrimental to so many people's lives and so many industries, in our industry, I think it's been actually amazing in tons of ways. And I even was just, I interviewed Vivian Saliba last month. She just started streaming on Twitch. And, you know, she was saying how she started a Discord and she's been, you know, sort of having a community, talking hands. And I was saying to her, I can't even imagine how many people would never in a live setting feel comfortable to come up to Vivian Saliba and talk about anything like poker or anything ever. But there's just this sort of, you know, it's a different space. You know, I think Twitch, Discord, it creates this different environment where you really like break down all the barriers and, you know, entry is available to everyone.
Right, it breaks everything down, and like I say, I'm just a guy. I'm nobody. Like I'm just in there playing with you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing. It's that relationship, and you know, talking about everything that's gone on the last year or so, how many people have started playing poker socially, home games, and things like that, and being on FaceTime and Zoom calls and poker games going on as like a way for people to stay connected, right? So I really try and move away from poker as like, you're going to go in and win tens of thousands of dollars, right? It's fine for people to come in and play a $1 home game with their mates and get in the chat and, you know, things like that. And I think that's where the growth of poker really, really is going to be.
I am so with you, boy. All right. Well, I know you have a million things going on. In fact, I think you're going to be streaming. You guys are training for some kind of an event or something coming up?
We have a chess event going on with Hikaru Nakamura. It's the Joker's Gambit. So it's a bunch of poker players we're in a chess tournament. So it's myself and Tonka and Daniel Negreanu and Tony G and Chris Moneymaker and all sorts of poker players. And we're playing a chess tournament coming up. So today, me and Tonka have a chess lesson with Hikaru, who's one of the best chess players in the world, Grandmaster. And he's going to try and sort us out.
It is popping off. When I just interviewed Daniel, I was like, what's going on in your life? What's happening? And he's like, chess. That's what it's all. That's what I care about.
Chess is huge. Wow. Yeah. Chess is massive.
There's tons of crossover. All right. Well, anyways, I know you have tons to do today, and I just so appreciate you taking the time. It's always just so lovely to catch up with you. And from afar, I have so enjoyed just watching your sort of career explode. And
pleasure to be on. It's a pleasure to be on, always.
And please give a big wet kiss from Auntie Chardonnay to the missus.
I will when I see her. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I so appreciate Spraggy taking the time. And it's so funny. I so get why he's such a popular streamer, because just talking to him I just felt so positive and good and excited about poker afterwards, but also he's just so charming and funny. And yeah, I just appreciated talking to him. And someone I've actually been asking some of our commercial team to try to get on the show for a while now is Patrick Leonard. He's one of the players that I have just a really deep respect for, somebody who's very focused on integrity, and somebody who's very, again, everyone knows I'm very, very much appreciative of people who are honest and real, genuine and authentic. And I think Patrick Leonard really embodies those qualities. He also just happens to be a crusher at poker, just in general. And I would say probably one of the hardest working guys in poker. And he won a scoop title, which he already has several, I want to say. But what I thought was the most interesting is that he is in competition for the overall player of the series, which I can't even imagine how difficult it is to capture a title like that in what we've already been discussing in terms of how many sickos there are, how many different buy-in levels there are. This is basically, this is just like the best of the best in online poker.
Yeah, so when we came out with this, when I put together the outline for this episode, Patrick Leonard had just won event number 57, right? So this was the high version, $1,000 buy-in, no limit hold'em, afternoon deep stack. He took that one down for $61,000. So I'm like, all right, here's a headline. We're going to talk about that. But then I noted there's still a couple days between now and when we record. So if any other big stories happen, we can just add that in. Well, as fate would have it, we've got to add it in because he won another scoop title during this series. He ended up winning event number 64 high, $5,200 no limit hold'em PKO tournament. And this is a Sunday special edition, $850K guaranteed. Got 255 runners, $1.2 million prize pool. Patrick Leonard did it again. Just about basically $258,000 for his second scoop title of the series. And let's see, he won the first one on Saturday. He won the second one on Sunday. So 2 scoop titles in 2 days for one Patrick Leonard. Pretty incredible stuff.
No big deal. That's just like a typical week for the old Patrick Leonard. Everything he does, I think he does with real, a focus on quality. And so what am I, like a Patrick Leonard fangirl? Jeez Louise, can we get him on the show, I guess? Well, we've, of course, mostly been focused on the outside of the United States market, which is what the scoop is focused on. But the last few episodes of our show, and actually something I think we're going to focus on a little bit next week, is what is going on within the United States, because there's a lot happening here and it is very exciting. And actually we have our own scoops up in her.
It's true. Right now, the 2021 PokerStars Pennsylvania scoop is taking place. It kicked off on the 17th of April and will run through May 3rd. There's more than $2 million in guaranteed prize pools, buy-ins ranging from $5 up to $1,000. And of course, the main event, $300 buy-in, $200,000 guarantee. That's going to take place on May 2nd. That's the premier tournament, but there are many. There's 40 different events, and like the regular scoop, there's a high, medium, and low for each. So there's 120 tournaments total, and it got off to a pretty good start. We're just finished day 4. I got to crunch the numbers yet. We're doing daily recaps for PokerNews. You can check there, see all the winners, but I have the numbers through the first 3 days when 27 events had completed. They had catered to a combined 13,445 entrants and awarded just shy of $438,000. That's just 27 events into the 120 tournament schedule. So off to a pretty strong, solid start for them. Some of the winners that have taken down titles, we had Lucas Paff. He goes by Mr. Robter. He won the event number 5 high, $50 PLO 6-max PKO event for just over $2,000. Simon Levy goes by Slevy or Slevy. He'd won event number 3, a medium $30 no limit hold'em event for over $3,000. Now I know these prize pools aren't as exciting as the, $500,000 that Patrick Leonard or Joao Vieira, whoever's winning over in the regular scoop. But remember, this is just limited to players in Pennsylvania. Another one was Ron Gallagher. All in with a Joff is his screen name. He won event number 9, high $50 no limit hold'em escalating antes tournament for $2,800. So, these are some big scores for this region, for this state, and we're going to see it even more. We're going to see scoop events coming up in Michigan. It's going to be the first ever scoop held in Michigan, and then New Jersey will also have another scoop event. Both of those are going to run from May 8th through the 24th. Full details on the schedule should be released shortly, but we do know that Poker News is going to be offering live updates from each. We're going to cover 10 tournaments from each of those series, so 20 total, and we're going to do daily recaps on PokerNews.com. So you'll be able to keep atop of all things happening in the US scoops. And right now, you can continue to follow the rest of the world, the regular PokerStars scoop on Poker News. We're offering live updates every single day. We're covering it in full. Just head on over to PokerNews.com or fire up the mobile app, and you can follow scoop action as much as you want to your heart's content.
So speaking of delivering things up, is there any chance that we're giving out any more Bernard Lee books? Which, by the way, I just got mine in the mail yesterday, and it looks fantastic. And I am very excited. After editing that interview, I was actually Bernard had offered me the book if I wanted it, and I told him, dude, honestly, I'm so busy right now. I have so many books I haven't actually read. And then once I did the interview, I was like, you know what? I think I need to read this book. Like, it seems like it's short enough. I could probably squeeze it in. And we did get 2 new reviews on April 13th. One from Mark Donovan and one from Enough 2020. And I was just thinking, like, if we had something to send them, that would be really cool.
I mean, I don't think the either winners from the first 2 have responded. If you guys are hearing this and you remember, winning, get in touch with us. But I say we can probably give those 2 new reviews a book. Why not? Were they positive reviees first?
Yes, of course they were. Of course they were. And you guys can get into, if Chad hasn't opened up his DMs lately, which he's getting a lot of vagina pics, you know what I mean? So he has to really keep things tight in there. But my Wizard Sleeve DM is completely open. You guys can totally slide on in there and send us your information, send us your address if you are either if you are Enough 2020 or Mark Donovan or JB901 in LA. Let us know, because we would love to give you something. And even if it's not, if Poker Satellite Success does not come through for you guys, for the World Series every year, we always get some t-shirts and some swag and some stuff like that. I'm sure we can find something. We will put something together for you guys. I know we can do it.
And that, just leave a review. Give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this. And who knows, maybe every once in a while, Sarah and I will pull up the reviews, give it a little read through. And if we like something, be like, hey, giveaway time.
Giveaway party. That's what this Poker News is all about, giving back to our community. And I've gotten a couple of responses, which I've sent, forwarded on for those who are interested, who are our Vegas-based audience. If you're looking to become part of the team, if you would like to be, integrated into the Poker News team, and you are either a writer or a videographer, or if you're, say, like an expert at social media or marketing, just let us know. Oh, your dog babies are so cute. And we just appreciate you guys listening. This has been a really, special episode, a scoop episode. It was really cool to catch up with and kind of get down with, some of the heart now of Team PokerStars Pro, PokerStars ambassadors. And it's just good to see poker overall healthy and fresh. Oh my gosh, if you guys are missing this, it's really cute. Chad's dog is like in his business and it's so cute.
She's a diva. She likes some camera time every once in a while.
Just a little. She just wants a little juice at the end. Oh my gosh, look at me with all of these gems here at the end too. Well, we appreciate you guys listening, of course, and we will catch you on the flip side. We'll see you for next week's hopefully US-based episode. Deuces.